electronic visual novel. We're so excited. By we, I mean me. I'm so excited. First of all, look at our fancy schmancy new setup. Boo. Ooh. Ooh. I don't even remember. Ooh. 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 Get on? I don't even know. Coding screen, the just chatting screen, the gameplay screen, which has the most change. Break time screen. See, I thought I had... Oh, did I do it to, like... Nope. I'll have to go through my hotkeys again. Because, like... Gaming screen. Coding screen. Just chatting screen. That does nothing. That's the Puppo break time screen. And the end of stream screen. But there are things missing that were there before, so I'll have to go back through them. Main point. It has been a frickin' week. A week. A week. Tongue poppin' week. Sorry, I need pop. For anyone who's been following along, we use Twitch streams. Is that what it's called? I already forget. I don't know. I never paid attention to what it was actually called. We used Twitch's streaming service. Like, streaming program. Hang on, real quick. As always, no idea how much of that's actually working. Anyway, for those following the saga, we use the free streaming program that Twitch recommends that you use when you first get Twitch. And why did we use that? Because look at our menus. Other than this new gameplay one, look at how frickin' simple these are. Look at how like three. Like a couple. Anyway. Very small amount of frames used, very minimal. We don't want our thing to be too busy. So that's what we went with. And then Twitch has decided to shut that program down. Apparently they haven't been supporting it in a long time. In terms of like error fixes and debugs, etc. So we were forced to switch to OBS, and OBS took us a full week to figure it out and get the settings to work, and hopefully the settings are currently working for you. Hopefully. Anywho. We have a couple announcements for today. The main one being the dev of Deluge got back to us to like iron shit out. So, for our upcoming dates, this weekend, guys, like tomorrow, didn't get that wrong. Yeah. Tomorrow. I have not slept yet. Gonna get a lot of sleep tonight. And then go to a wedding tomorrow. And then be wide awake for tomorrow. But anyway, tomorrow kicks off our developer stream weekend for the month. But as you just heard me say, there's a wedding to go to for the day. So tomorrow will just be the one game. And the lucky game goes to Attack on Hex Island with Drums 107. Although I don't know why there's a space there. I'll have to fix that later. Sorry about putting a space in your name, Drums. Drums will be here. Prodigal Son said that they're going to try to stop by as well. And we're going to play their new update of Attack on Hex Island. And that'll be 8 p.m. MST, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. If I got my math right, hang on. 2 a.m. CET. And you're like, Jane, why are you giving CET time all of a sudden? You've never done that before. It's because we've hashed shit out. Ugh. And the dog wants to go outside. Why? Because I just started streaming. Hang on. You have the worst timing ever. Yeesh, I say. Here's a mess. Anyway. That spiel was being such a good spiel. Such an eloquent spiel that I was on. Anyway, the developer of Deluge has gotten back to us. We've hashed things out. They're on a vastly different time zone than us. Meaning, we had to come to a time where we would both be comfortable being awake and streaming. So, they've requested 1 p.m. for Sunday. And request and ye shall receive. So, the developer of Deluge, Sermon for the Dead, will be here Sunday, May 26th at 1 p.m. MST. That is noon Pacific. That is 3 p.m. Eastern. And that's starting 7 p.m. CET time, you guys. Be excited. And then after we're finished with that, the developer estimated about 3 hours for that stream. I don't know if that's like a beat it estimate or like a get to a good part estimate, but they did, I don't know, 2 hours? They asked for 2 hours. 1 to 3. That's math. They asked for 1 to 3. So they asked for a 2-hour time slot, which is fine. We'll go longer if we can. But they're saying they will be here from 1 to 3. So if you want to talk to the developer, try to get here for that. And then at 8 p.m. MST that same night, after we take a break to eat some dim-dims on Sunday, we'll be coming back with the Community Fan Game Construction Snake demo with Curtis Mutter in person. So it's going to be a real fun weekend, guys. Now, everyone who has been watching this channel or following our YouTube has seen us play a bit of Attack on Hex Island and has seen us play a bit of Construction Snake already. Obviously, we've already had developer streams with those games, as well as like for funsy ones. So we thought it was only fair if we would showcase another one of the Deluge games, because we don't want to like ruin the surprise that is Deluge Sermon for the Dead. So we went and grabbed hi guys, Deluge Threnody of Crashing Waves. It's a Threnody. Woo. So that's what we're gonna play today. take a look at this game screen, guys. We are proud as shit for this gameplay screen. Because, like, the colors are on point, kind of. But, like, we made it work, okay? Our handles on the side, all vertical-like. Can't I think of what it's called? Marquee. Oh, I'm eating ice cream, by the way, because we're about to play a dating sim, and you have to eat out of a bucket of ice cream to do that. It's the law in Canada. So that marquee across the bottom is usually going to be displaying what's playing on our Spotify when we're listening to it for, like, the puppo during Minecraft and stuff. And we did come up with several ideas last time, along with drums, to kind of implement that in the future when we finally have, like, bits and stuff on our channel. Also, now that we're using OBS, yes, we will start using more overlays and shit. It's gonna be a slow process because we absolutely hate them. But we're gonna, like, sift through all the overlays and shit that we have access to now that we had to download all those plugins to make what is currently working work. Let's see if there's anything else we want to use. We had a few ideas that we want to kind of try that sounded pretty easy, so maybe they'll be around for this weekend streams. Maybe they won't be. Depends on how exhausted I am after this stream ends. In the meantime, let's get this game started, shall we? Pew. Yeah, see, the Steam and whatnot. Now, the whole thing with the gameplay screen is that we actually have to wait for the game to properly launch before we can bring it up. Starting game, launching game. Why is it taking forever? Game. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, there we go. And those little black bars to the side are part of the aspect ratio thing with visual novels, so nobody worry about that. Although, right off the bat, this does look like it was made with Threnody. Those of you who were paying close attention to our nightmare of the tutorials would recognize this menu GUI. Wow. Wish I had a DUI right now. Anyway. Check out the preferences just in caseies. Disable rollback. Skip after choices, transitions, unseen text. Okay, well, all looks good. We did ask the developer what they want to be called by for the stream, and they have yet to decide what they want their name to be. So I'm just gonna read the credits to you, and then the developer can go from there after that. Created and developed by Leaves, also known as Leaves Circle, also known as Circle. Produced by Soka, but Soka also sounds like it's by Leaves. CG art by Mia. Now they have some like Franz Schubert and stuff. Hopefully this is all public domain music, or else. Or else. I mean, it looks like it's mostly classical, and I'm pretty sure most classical is public domain at this point, so. I like these. Sound, beer belly, 38 to the extractor vent loop. And then a bunch of art credits. Translation team. Translation team is interesting because using Rempe, they're supposed to auto-translate it for you. Like, that's supposed to be like built in to the Rempe. So I wonder, why do they know so many people with the same name? Hang on. Translation team. Espanol. Nicolas Basualdo Martinez. Espanol. Nicolas Matias Calderon. Alcaino. I'm sorry for butchering names. And then Espanol Nicole. Nicholas, Nicole. I will say that, like, yeah, made with Rempe. Like, okay, come on. Rempe auto-translates it for you, so I don't know why you had a translation team. That strikes me as interesting. Unless you just mean that they, like, proofread the auto-translations for you, which I can see being helpful. Obviously. But anyway. Let's go back to our main menu, shall we? And hop into this. Now, we don't know much about this game. We try to go into these as blind as possible. I think it's supposed to be like a creepy-esque visual novel dating sim. A shit's going down visual novel dating sim. So, anyway, let's start it. Was I supposed to be able to read any of that? Oh no. That was real fast. She appeared oblivious to the rolling waves, the incessant thunder, the lashing rain as it soaked her winding obsidian hair. And she stared at me with a fanatical gaze in her eyes. There was... Suddenly, the lurch of a breaking bus shook me from my dream. In a state of panic, I exited the vehicle. Though it wasn't until it had disappeared into the distance that I realized I had stepped off one stop too soon. And as the memories of my dream faded from the conscious mind, I immediately became preoccupied with worries more trivial in nature. I had wasted another weekend fruitlessly inquiring local businesses for part-time employment. You should have tried during harvest, they'd reply regretfully if they didn't just laugh in my face. I was beginning to run out of options. How dare they laugh in my face? Due to setbacks at my father's work, the same that had led him to slash my weekly allowance, we were forced to relocate to Abbotsford, an agricultural hub with low costs of living. To me, it felt like the apocalypse. I had lost my home, my friends, my indulgent city life, and now I couldn't even find a part-time job. But in retrospect, I'll admit that these were peaceful days, where money was the greatest problem of my carefree mind. I will say... Can I pause this? That was before I realized I had a stalker. Well, hello, Miss Stalker-Daisy. I've known a great light in the sea. Have you seen the eyes of a Leviathan? These tombs have witnessed the dawn of man. The centuries look upon us now. A boundless mass of human being flowing in a stream without banks. Deluge. Threnody of crushing waves. Deluge. There's something about the word deluge. I am using OBS drums. Hello. Oh, grapes of wrath have borne their fruit. The serpent coils through endless depths. Decades of fright and sorrow will converse in a threnody of crashing waves. I really need to get... This game needs to pause itself so I can get... There we go. Oh, no, it's gotta keep going. Okay. No, we need... Pause. Her name is Ina. Nope. 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 There we go. The text speed is way too fast. Auto forward time, way too fast. Auto forward, turn that off. Let's... Okay. Okay. Return. Can we roll it back? Oh, God. Let's try this again. Preferences. Roll back. Side, sure. And the text speed can go back up now that auto forward's not on. Okay, we're gonna rewind. Okay, before I realized I was a stalker. There we go. Ina! Just letting you know, it looks and sounds great at the moment. Audio could be a tad lower, though I'm sure that will be changing per game. I do want to, like, try to get these, like, squared away now, though. How's... Here. I'll put it... Okay. I'll put it there. You let me know if that's better, because... Audio is my main concern. So I don't want to, like... screw people's hearing up and shit. Like, when you said audio, did you mean, like, the game, like, strictly the game audio, or is the mic too loud, too? Because it's kind of hard to tell on our end. Like, we did a bunch of test streams and, like, went into another room and listened to it, but, like, it's difficult to gauge. Anyway. Ina! I saw you loitering around the stores yesterday. Oh no. Boop. You better admit it. Her name was Ina, a strange, determined girl. Although she was in the same class as I wouldn't be able to say who her friends were. Oh, apparently our name is Abe. We have a character name, people. We are the Abe of Lincoln's. Abe Lincolnson. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not a fan at staring at anime girls, so I'll be dropping for this one, but good luck and have fun. Alright, well, thanks for showing up, Drums, and, like, helping us out. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow for your dev stream. They say a man is only as good as his labor. I've got just the thing for you. Jesus. Hey! Okay, yeah, Abe is the frickin' Fonz at this point. Abe is the 40-year-old man hanging out with all the high school kids at the high school. Ina, what you talking about? Ina, please follow me up to my office. Why? She's a high school girl. Why does she have an office? Unless she's supposed to be the prince. Is she supposed to be the principal? Are we working at this school? How does this work? Ooh, part 1, pastoral. Oh, she has like legit office. So she's not a high school girl. She's an adult. Gotcha. I followed her into a small, cluttered room that was situated next to the teacher's lounge. No, wait, you said that you had class with her. Why? If you're classmates, why does she have her own office? What the hell? Ina, it's so unbearably hot in here. Let me take off that horrible uniform. Gracelessly, she removed her vest and jersey, crumpling them into a ball, which she dropped into a corner of the room. I don't understand why they're making us wear viscose. It's practically tropical outside. She turned to me. You're anxious to get started, right? Let me explain what your duties will entail. I need someone to deliver a newspaper. Don't worry, I could see a panic forming in your eyes. Brains, however, are entirely optional for this job. She cut me off. If there's one thing this village is famous for, it's the stellar quality of our newspaper, the Sunday Abbot. Or at least it is since I took over as editor-in-chief. How old is this girl? She's your classmate who has her own office and is working as editor-in-chief to the local newspaper. Sorry, I almost switched to chips because I'm so gobsmacked, but I have to eat my bucket of ice cream because that is the law, because this is a dating sim. Might need to buy more ice cream today. The Abbot doesn't play games, you know? 4th place in the national ranking of school papers. An honorable mention by the Evening Mirror. I didn't know we had a school paper. Wait, so is he getting paid to deliver the school paper? A school paper? We're much more than that. Crime, corruption, unsolved mysteries. Did you know we were the first to break the news on the Sanford House affair? God. And I have so much more up my sleeve. So what do you say? Will you take the job? Hey, it's better than nothing. I'll take it. Great! Let me show you my mock-up for this week's issue. I just don't understand why a school newspaper has, I guess, an editor-in-chief who's a classmate of yours but has her own office, who's going to pay you a minimum wage amount of money to deliver it. This week, we're reporting on an interesting case. It's linked to a murder that happened about a year before you arrived here. Back then, we brought the news of a seasonal worker who fell victim to a violent attack on one of the local farms. It was late at night. He was on his way to his sleeping quarters after his shift ended, when suddenly he was struck from behind by an anonymous assailant. It's gonna, destroy my throat. Ina, in her apparent excitement, had begun tapping her right hand against her skirt. His co-workers found him next morning, more dead than alive. By the time the ambulance arrived, he'd already succumbed to his injuries. Regretfully, he wasn't able to give a testimony before he died. Poor guy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to make sure I carry these voices over when we play on Sunday. Oh my god. Oh shit, I'm crying. I apologize to every community that I am currently offending with my accents. Okay. Whew. Okay. A full year has passed. Sorry. A full year has passed since that fateful night, so I decided to do due diligence. I went down to the police station to ask how the investigation into the attack was coming along. However, the receptionist told me the case had been closed. Case closed, I asked her. Then who was the culprit? But she told me the perpetrator had never been found. Then when I asked if I could see the case file, she just mumbled something and directed me towards the exit. Ina sighed. I know exactly what goes on around here. They never did a proper investigation. You know, the owner of the farm where it all happened, he has ties to the town mayor. This place is ruled by a small caucus of cronies that can do as they like as long as their powers go unchecked. That's why we need a quality newspaper to shine a light in the darkness. I could detect a tremble in her voice. Uh-oh. We really need a paperboy. Do it for your community, Abe. Those poor wretches need you. That kind of went into old woman territory. I apologize. By that time, I had already begun to notice the first signs of Ina's compelling presence, although I ascribed it to youthful eccentricity at the time, not paying it any further attention. This is starting to sound like Abe should have been British. Whoops. The afternoon was drawing to an end. Wordlessly, we gathered our belongings and headed towards the stairs. Oop. Let's get down to business. We have just under 2,000 subscribers. I'll pay you 2 cents per paper delivered. That should add up to a decent salary for a morning's work. Now remember, the printer will deliver tomorrow at 5 in the morning, so I want to see you here no later than 5:15. I'm not much of a morning person. See you then. It's real hard to go for the Fawn's voice. Kind of keep slipping into a really bad Joey Tribbiani. Or an even worse young member of the Soprano family. sorry, everybody. I'm sleep deprived and I amuse myself, and then it turns into this. I apologize. That night, I lay in turmoil, asking myself if I should even indulge Ina's ridiculous offer. While a neurotic, continuous tapping played through my head like a stenotype. This guy delivers lines, like, even without my accent, the lines that he's saying out loud to people are very like, hey, that's why I put the accent on. But, like, stereotypical A. I'm not saying that. I'm not going there. My point being, the stereotype of, like, the dumb, like, Jersey, like, Italian Jersey accent. North American Italian Jersey accent is usually associated with, like, the types of lines that this guy is saying. But then his inner monologue is like, I do declare we are at the epitome of a situation. Anywho, morning came all too soon. So you're finally here? The delivery guys left ages ago. I could have used some help with the boxes. Ina didn't appear the least bit thrilled to see me. Here's a list of all the addresses sorted by proximity to the school. Please try not to get lost. I'm off now. I have a lot of reading to catch up on. You can call me when you're done. She handed me a small business card with her number on it. Chief editor of the Sunday Abbot was printed below her name in tasteful lettering. It was real nice. I have a question. Though she appeared anxious to leave, she turned around at the last moment. What? So why is it called the Sunday Abbot? What do you mean? Well, it doesn't make sense, does it? If it's delivered on a Saturday. That's just the way it's always been. We deliver the paper on Saturdays and people read it on Sundays. Some of our subscribers are very old-fashioned, you know. They wouldn't want us working during Sabbath. Anyway, good luck with your first day on the job. Oh, my heavens. Caught a case of the vapors. Alright, I'm out of visual novel, dating sim, ice cream. Gonna have to buy more for the weekend. Keep it in mind. I resigned myself to the arduous labor. Even though it was October already, an unnatural, sticky heat permeated the air that made my work all the more unbearable. How quickly my situation had taken a turn for the worse. No more than 2 months ago, I had been enjoying my life among the nation's elite, headed for a bright role on the world stage. Oh, that's perfect with the accent I've been giving him. I would be pained to see myself now, spreading gutter journalism for a slave's wage. Bumpers! But then, out of nowhere, a snapping shadow lunged towards me. The street erupted in violent mayhem as I fought to keep the dog's razor-sharp fangs away from my jugular. using my messenger bag to shield myself from its all-devouring clutches. I was in a state of panic, frantically trying to block its strikes as I sought a path to safety. And without further hesitation, I leapt over a garden wall, away from what I figured was the hound's territory. Oh no. Is this going to be one of the characters? Well, we'll wait for the character art before we give people accents, I think. Aside from Abe. Sigurd! I must have ran at least 4 blocks before collapsing onto a playground bench. I took some time to come to my senses, all the while cursing Ina for not disclosing the dangers of the job. Yeah, Ina. Stupid biatch. How dare you? Sorry, guys. The boyfriend's out on an errand, and I have to make sure that they're actually buying the correct items. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point? Anyway, continuing on. Boop. If I encounter one more dog today, I will definitely... Sigurd! Over the sound of my heavy breathing, I could discern a fragile voice calling out. Oh god, how do we do this fragilely? Sigurd! Please, stop hiding, Sigurd! I was thinking that the voice kind of sounded like, oh no, what's her name? I'm too tired to think of names. Anyway, that blonde girl. Yeah, alright. I don't know. I need sleep. A girl appeared, her eyes as bright as the summer sky. Hi there. Are you delivering the mail? She seemed distracted by my sudden presence. No signs of her prior distress remained. Calling it mail may be an overstatement. It's just a weekly paper. Whoop. Speak of the devil. We're getting asked about... Oh, yeah. They found the correct ones! Huzzah! Yeah, I realized that I didn't have the things I needed for the wedding tomorrow, so we had some errands to get done whilst I work my butt off today. Anyway, yeah, it was just a weekly paper. Oh no, that's like more... Ugh, I need to get back to my Fonzie voice. I'd love to work as a mailman one day. The honor, the excitement, to see the delight in people's eyes when they receive life-altering news. I let out a self-deprecating chuckle. I know someone you might like to meet. Sigurd! She was at it again, at the top of her lungs. Are you looking for someone? It's just my little brother, Sigurd. He loves oh my god, phone.
He loves playing hide and seek. He made me count to 100 this time, but when I turned around, he had disappeared without a trace.
Yes, please. Now, phone, stop vibrating. Stop it. I don't even know where to put this to get it to stop it. Stop it. Now stop it. Okay. Isn't that the object of the game? Oh god, that voice is like gone now. Need to get back into the Hey! Isn't that the object of the game? Game? Game. Yeah. It's the Y. I need the Y. Isn't that the object of the game?
This was almost half an hour ago. Usually he doesn't stray so far.
Well, I really hope you find him. I have to get going. They don't pay me by the hour.
Will you please look out for Sigurd? He's wearing a light red fleece. I told him it was too warm for his winter clothes, but he never listens. Will you let me know if you see him?
I mean, sure thing. I'll keep my eyes wide open.
You're the best. Please send him over here if you find him.
For a girl who is described as, like, fragile, she has, like, a lot of exclamation points. Ah. It's hard to do fragile exclamations. Every mansion had a garden, and every garden had a gate. And every cursed garden gate added 3 more seconds to my seemingly endless route. I really didn't mind the apartment complexes, which had their letterboxes stacked conveniently together, but these gardens were ruining my average. And while I gradually began to come to the conclusion that Ina had played me for a fool, suddenly the infernal beast returned. Without abandon, it began furiously snapping at my leg. Ew, wait, Karen. Karen with a misbehaving dog. Not based on true events.
There, Fierce. The man's doing an important job.
Adeptly, she wrangled the dog away from my quivering limbs.
I'm sorry. Fierce is usually very kind, but it takes him a while to get used to strangers.
Your dog has been terrorizing me all morning, madam.
Oh, Fierce isn't my dog. He lives here. The community has adopted him.
This isn't even an accent anymore. It's hard because I don't want to strain my voice too much doing this. But it's funny doing it. I can go like full Karen. You must be new in town. This is how all Karens have ever talked to me. Hang on. You need to, the goal is to like get into character, right? So like,
I want to speak to your manager.
There we go.
You must be new in town.
There it is.
I'm Karen. I work at the city council. Welcome to the beautiful municipality of Abbotsford. Oops. I'm so glad you're willing to do this job. I heard Ina had some unfortunate resignations as of late, but a small town like this really needs free press. mentioned something along those lines.
I handed her a paper, and as I was about to proceed on my route, her eyes fell on the headline.
Wait a minute. This seems interesting.
As she skimmed over the front page, a grave expression came over her face.
This is very interesting indeed. What you've dug up here. You should be careful, though. This is a very small community.
She uttered the warning with concern in her voice.
I'm just the paper boy. I know. I apologize. This really is very interesting. Let me speak to your manager.
And with these words, she proceeded to make her way back towards the council building until I suddenly recalled May's words.
Wait! Have you seen a little boy somewhere around here?
She turned around, a meaningful expression appearing on her face.
I figure you've run into May. Don't worry too much. Little Sigurd always shows up in the end. That there Sigurd. Crazy Sigurd. What are you doing?
If you want to experience hell on earth, I implore you to take on a paper round. My hands lacerated, my legs worn.
Sigurd! Sigurd! Where are you, Sigurd? Please come out. Mom will be angry.
Her voice was reduced to a feeble wail. I hurried in the direction of the sound.
Sigurd still hasn't come back. He's never been away this long.
She was teary-eyed, shivering like a newborn calf.
Please, Sigurd. Please. Sigurd.
And as she pleaded, her voice grew fainter, as though the last of her strength was slipping away. Until suddenly, her eyes, which had been vibrant blue a heartbeat ago, turned an ashen white. A silent murmur escaped her lips.
Sigurd, please. Sigurd, no! He's only 7. Please don't take him.
Having lost all her prior vitality, May had become wholly possessed by a paralyzing entrancement. Staring into her pale white eyes, I could determine her life essence was very frail at the time. A faint light in the distance, close to dying out. A growing concern took hold of me.
Are you alright? Do you want me to call someone?
But my words passed right through her.
Please, I promise he'll be good. Please let him stay with me. Sigurd!
Her knees buckled. Had I not been fast enough to catch her, she would have plummeted to the ground. As I stood there, trying my best to keep her upright, I felt her strength gradually return. As suddenly as it had happened... Oh, completely read that wrong. Wow. Sleep deprivation! As suddenly as it had appeared, the paralysis dissipated from her body. She remained silent for a very long time.
I'm sorry.
Her voice was calm, almost devoid of emotion.
I'm sorry. I forgot. Sigurd isn't here anymore. I apologize for causing you trouble.
And without any further clarification, she disappeared into the night. Whoosh. Wait, that was too close. Whoosh. 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 Whooshoe. Whooshoe. There we go. That kind of worked. I picked up the phone.
Where are you? What happened?
I flinched from the outrage in her voice. Nothing happened. I'm back home from a long day's work.
But these boxes! There are still 3 boxes here. That means there are subscribers waiting on us.
Ina, the job's killing me. I'll be contacting the Civil Labor Board.
You better finish this first thing in the morning. I swear, if we even have one canceled subscription over this, I'll be docking your pay till Christmas.
Sure, Ina. The cataclysm of abuse had ended. She remained quiet for a while, before resuming in a more subdued voice.
Itchy nose. Please be here early tomorrow morning. We need to deliver the remaining papers before the fundies get up for church.
Sure, Ina.
There was a hair on my nose. Okay, dog hair.
When Monday finally came, it felt like a welcome respite. I sat in class, dozing a little, plagued at times by flashbacks of rabid dogs. It was after classes ended that a dark-haired girl approached me out of nowhere. What voice shall we use for this one? And keeping in mind that I have to sort of kind of try to remember all of these different voices.
Oh, she looks like one of those ditzy ones. Is she one of those ditzy ones? I understand how summer's running late, and that we're all young and in our best spirits.
I stared at her uncomprehendingly.
I'd just like you to know that May is strictly off limits.
Alarm bells went off in my head.
Please tell me what's going on.
Is she a ditzy girl? Is she supposed to be smart girl? She's supposed to be like, please tell me what's going on. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You think you can lie yourself out of this one?
Yeah, I think that's probably the better one.
Just understand this is a small community. Rumors travel fast in a place like this.
If only she realized that romance was the furthest thing from my mind at the time. Crotch shot. She sighed. Crotch shot.
You may have noticed that May isn't exactly like the other girls.
I nodded.
She has a learning disability. The school board is currently struggling to place her in a suitable education. So for the time being, she's being taught by a small group of church volunteers. Once she realized that I was sympathetic to the situation, her overall stance softened. Together, we made our way to the main exit. Was I supposed to be looking at her crotch the whole time? It's good to see a new face in school. So how are you enjoying the Isle of Abbott? My name is Rika, by the way. Oh no. Rika Cooper? Cooper? It's not Q because it's not YU. It's UY. If it's UY like I, it'd be Rika Kuiper, but...
Let's go, Cooper. I apologize for not introducing myself sooner. Pleased to meet you. I'm Abe. Abe? Abe Jansen? Oh, I heard your father would be coming. It's good to know he finally arrived. He should know my dad. He's the pastor in town. I'm afraid we're not a very religious family. Oh, he'll know my dad. I'm sure of it. As she stood there staring at me with a beaming smile, it was as if all her prior hostility had completely evaporated. I mean, I wouldn't mind visiting your church someday. Ow! You'd be very welcome. Oh my god, there's like a... I can see it! There's a hair! It's driving me nuts. Mama. Religion is a lot less intimidating when you grow up around it, you know? Due to my father's status, people have always treated me like some kind of sacrosanct being. But to me, the Bible is just a mysterious storybook. A faraway glance appeared in her eyes. I've always looked up... La, la, la. La, la, la. I've always loved to read about the fantastic creatures, like the behemoth and the leviathan. Did you ever hear about the leviathan? She began to recite. I have seen a great light in the sea. You may have seen the eyes of Leviathan, for his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. When Leviathan is hungry, he emits a fiery breath from his mouth and causes the waters of the deep to boil. She let out a dignified squeal of delight. That would give me nightmares. Isn't it exciting? Oh, I wonder how the Leviathan feels, submerged all alone in pitch-black darkness. She ran her fingers tenderly through her flowing hair. And just then, the quiet corridor erupted in vitriolic clamor. No loitering during club time. I need you in my office right now. Ina? Oh, I'm so glad to hear you found someone for the school paper. Not on the school paper. It's not a school paper. It's an independent periodical with 2,000 paying subscribers. Come, Abe. Follow me. Afraid she may ignite an irate fury over my performance during the weekend, I timidly waited for her to begin speaking. Her initial outburst, however, appeared to have been transient in nature. She was just sitting here, paging through a heavy book. After what felt like an eternity, she began to talk. Did you notice the crickets yesterday? I felt no answer was expected. The crickets sing during July and August. It's a sound they make to attract potential mates. I think I heard them chirping last night. This year, something isn't right. Their song tapered off in September, but now they are out in full force again. I'm doing research on this phenomenon for an article. It's a chore, so I'm going to ask you to take over some of my other duties. Hey! I
I will need you to cover the weekly progress section this week.
The what now?
The weekly progress. It's a recurring editorial in which we write something about a local event or inhabitant of the town. Sadly, I inherited it from the previous editor-in-chief. It's a community favorite, so I haven't been able to cut it yet. But never mind. It's only 300 words. You can write about anything or anyone you see around town. Seems perfectly suited for you.
I haven't agreed to any of this. Oh, that was like, I don't even know. There's like a weird twang on that. Weird ass twang.
If you want to keep your job, you'll have to be a team player.
Oh god, my phone went off again.
Nope, wrong button. Oh no, wrong button.
Does that mean I'll be paid for this?
Don't get any ideas.
She returned to her book. Chronic. Oh no!
Assuming I was no longer needed, I excused myself. But on my way to the door, she called after me. Hey, that girl you were talking to?
Rika, what about her?
What did she say to you?
I was silent for a second. Nothing much. She approached me in the hallway. Apparently her family is involved with religion.
You can say that again. Her father is a powerful figure in town, the leader of the Church of Abbotsford.
Whatever that means.
Ina stared at me with an intent gaze. I want you to befriend Rika.
Yeesh. Playing mind games.
Why am I suddenly getting messages? Ugh. If you get close to her, we'll be privy to a trove of information on the sordid power structures in the community. We'll have so many exclusives.
Wouldn't that be a rather underhanded reason to befriend someone?
You're a journalist now. You'll have to play the game in order to get to the bottom of things. So, will you do this for me?
I mean, I don't like telling her that I'm going to befriend Rika for her. I thought I was just a paper boy.
And a terrible one at that.
You know, I haven't been paid yet. She ignored my remark. There was something strange Rika said. I believe she called this place the Isle of Abbot. Does that make sense to you?
The Isle of Abbot? That's just a phrase the old people use. It's an interesting tale. Did you know this town was once surrounded by miles and miles of water?
This place? You can't be serious. I've completely lost the accent. It's gone. You couldn't be farther from the sea down here. She sighed.
You may have noticed how the village of Abbotsford lies slightly elevated above the surrounding fields.
Not really.
Well, let me show you on the map.
She browsed her phone for a while before handing it to me.
Look, this is the situation as it is today. You can see the town of Abbotsford down there, surrounded by the sprawling farmland of the marsh polder. However, it didn't always look like this. The marsh polder is an artificial island constructed during the first half of the 20th century. It was initially conceptualized as a way to meet the rising demand for housing and farmland. The lake used to be an inland sea, but they built a great dam in the north, severing its connection to the ocean. These were times of unfettered progress. The national government didn't shy away from major developmental projects. They stemmed off a large area of water before proceeding to pump it dry. That's how the stretch of land that was formed that would become the marsh polder.
She took back her phone and called up a different map.
This is what it looked like before 1942. As you can see, there's no sign of the marsh polder yet. The lake was still an inland sea.
Alabay.
Alabay!
Abbotsford was an island?
It was indeed. A few graybeards around here might still recall the day when the last of the water was pumped out and their homestead was an island no more.
Ina put away her phone and returned to her book, softly muttering to herself.
That incessant chirping, I can hear it even here. I wonder if they've entered a second mating season. Maybe Spangler was right.
I left the office quietly. Hey. Alright, hang on a sec, guys. We're gonna take, like, a small break. Because it's getting hot in here, so I want to take my sweater off and stuffs and things. So, like, 5-minute break. Then we'll be back. Forget which one of these I programmed to be break, though. Break. Yay! The wrong break page, but a break page. Alright, I'll be right back.
Okay, let's be back. Now we have dating some chips. Num num num. As I walked back home, my mind explored all the different strategies I could employ to restore my cherished city life. I could stay at my aunt's house until I'd be able to finance a place of my own. That, or I could find a comfortable bridge to sleep under. I was so preoccupied with my thoughts that I didn't notice a familiar figure approaching. Oh, good. At least it's this girl. I get to whisper her. Hi there. That was two. There was two Taki. Sorry, my throat's like so messed up. Ina's voice is killing me. Hi there. Come to the stones with me. To the stones. Come to the stones. I leapt back when I realized who it was. Sorry, I'm not allowed to talk to you. What? Are you joking? Who said that? I keep forgetting how I'm supposed to pronounce this. That Cooper girl cornered me after class. She let out a childish giggle. Rika, oh, she's just teasing you. Please come to the stones with me. Sure, let's go see the stones. If you're sure no one will catch us. We'll be fine. There's no one around at this time of day. I am curious if any of you can even hear me when I'm doing that voice. We were told that the audio levels were good, but we have no way of knowing for sure. I followed her along a short country trail, which led us to an opening in the trees. In the center stood two massive megaliths, partly buried in the ground. The surroundings seemed well maintained. Do you see these giant stones? There are many of them scattered across the town. I like to come here whenever I'm sad. They warm me up inside. She was right. When I placed my hand on one of the rocks, I could feel it emanate a radiating heat, though I figured this was likely due to their exposure to the midday sun. So, are you feeling sad right now? My accents have gone the way of the dodo. She blushed. No. To be honest, I come here every night. It's not far from the farm, you know? She gave me a tour of the archaeological site, leading me around the megaliths at least 3 times. After she confirmed that we had studied the stones from every possible angle, she drew my attention to a small placard. She appeared to have difficulty deciphering the writing. She looked up at me. Hey, what does this say? I bent over to look at the text, which appeared perfectly legible to me. I began to read. Swift Bant culture. I decided to read on, not questioning her curious display of illiteracy. It says here that these stones were erected by an ancient civilization. They functioned as grave mounds and as a place to venerate... oh no. Chthonic deities. Deities. Nope, I already lost it. Deities. Oh, did I accidentally scroll back? I decided to read on, not questioning her display of... yeah, okay. Wait, I didn't cycle that. Okay, so it... weird. She was staring at me with a captivated expression in her eyes. Please, read more. Read more. The Swifterbant people lived here between 7,500 and 5,500 years ago, during the early Neolithic. They were an early agrarian society that held livestock, but also resorted to hunting at times. The stones these megaliths were made from aren't native to the region, but were brought here from Scandinavia during the Ice Ages. That means they were carried here by large sheets of glacial ice. When the Sail Ice Age ended, about 130,000 years ago, so bad, the rocks and debris were caught and the ice stayed behind. May was staring off into the distance, making me fear for a second that she would revert into a mysterious episode again, like on the night after I first met her. But she remained fully aware. And then she began to speak. Isn't that a beautiful thought? When the Swifterband people found these stones, they had been lying here for more than 100,000 years. The centuries since then passed in less than a heartbeat. She erupted in a smile as bright as the setting sun. It makes me so happy to think that those stones will still be standing here in another 100,000 years. People will move and kingdoms will fall, but these stones will remain. It will be like nothing has really changed. I couldn't say it was a reassuring thought, though I welcomed it at the time, as it put my own growing problems somewhat into perspective. These stones would remain here long after I'd recovered from bankruptcy, long after the burden of my part-time job had herniated my spine, long after I'd succumbed to lethargy in this godforsaken backwater town, where a couple of oversized rocks were considered, for some reason, a major tourist attraction. Nope. Thank you, Coffee Streambot. You tell him. When night fell, I brought May back to her parents' farm. As we walked in silence, I clutched my book bag tightly under my arm. My gaze wandered off into the fields, these endless fields of impervious green that faded out into nothingness. And I thought to myself how straight they were. Endued with a perfect geometric flatness, as though they had been carefully sleekened out by the trowel of an obsessive god. Ah, damn.
I didn't perfect the, I guess we're calling her serious girl now. I awoke to the furious ringing of the doorbell. As I hurried downstairs, haphazardly dressing myself en route, I wondered for a second why my father wasn't home. He was a notoriously light sleeper. Why is the doorbell still going? When I opened the door, I was greeted by a familiar face. Ina appeared far too excited to take her finger from the bell. Please stop pressing that.
The article! Have you done it? I want it at the publishers by tomorrow.
My semi-dormant mind was digging fruitlessly.
The weekly progress article? Did you write it like I told you to?
At the early hour, I didn't have the presence of mind to throw up a fight. Tomorrow. I promise. Tomorrow.
It better not be late. But never mind that. I just received notice that our cover article has set the city council alight. It turns out that the farm assault wasn't an isolated incident. Mayor Van Linden had been receiving signals of worker mistreatment throughout the year leading up to the murder, but he failed to act in any meaningful way. Then last year, the incident occurred. And now that the police investigation has come up with nothing, council members are beginning to openly question the mayor's efficiency. Efficacy? Do you realize our publication could cost him his career? Most of her words flew straight by me, though I remember her eyes burned bright like meteorites on that pale Wednesday morning. We should really be getting to school. On our way to school, Ina wouldn't stop lecturing me on the various intricacies of the municipal government. The trip had never felt so long. Voices within the mayor's own party are pushing for him to step down. They consider this incident a telltale sign of his continuing incompetence. Members of his own party? Wouldn't that be counterintuitive? Well, it's complicated. Abbott Island Reformed, commonly referred to as AIR, is the largest party in the town council. Its electorate consists of farmers and members of the church. But with its size comes inner division. Of the 8 seats the party currently occupies, 4 are held by members that represent the agricultural sector. They generally come from agrarian families and serve as advocates for the local farms. The other 4 seats, however, are held by the Cooper faction. These are members of the church, mainly descendants of the original inhabitants of the island. The current leader of the Cooper faction is John Cooper, Rika's father. Whatever happened to the separation of church and state? Ina pressed on, ignoring my remark. Even though they're in the same party, there's tension between the Cooper faction and the agrarians. The Cooper faction has always tried to implement a strictly isolationist policy for the town, letting in as few outsiders as possible. The agrarians, however, rely on outside labor during harvest season and are generally more welcoming towards newcomers. The current mayor of Abbotsford is an agrarian, so the Cooper faction is weaponizing this incident in order to strengthen their position within the party. Ayr has always exerted undisputed influence over the town's administrative affairs. You can tell their power has never been contested by an actual free press. I believe there's much more to be uncovered on this matter. I'd like you to ask Rika out on a date. Suddenly, I was wide awake. I have absolutely no intention of doing that. We'll see. We arrived at school early. I'm going to head up to the office to change into that terrible uniform. I'll see you in class. Suddenly, she dove behind me as though she were hiding from something. She began to speak in a hushed voice. Look, it's here of all people. There, go talk to her. And with these words, she slid into a nearby entranceway. Abe, what a pleasant surprise. I hope you've been settling nicely. I see you're a part of the Early Bird Club. We practice with the swimming team on Wednesday mornings. There's a big championship coming up soon. She ran her fingers through her long black hair. I'm so glad you're getting involved with the school paper. Personally, I don't really read it, but my father was absolutely lyrical about that cover piece you ran in the last issue. He can't stop gushing about how much student journalism has improved over the last years. I laughed incredulously. All credit goes to Ina. I just see to an timely delivery. Well, he said your paper's an asset to the town. Come on. There's time left before class start. Let's take a walk over the school grounds. So you know this place used to be an island, right? I nodded. In the early 1800s, it was home to a community of about 400 fishing families. Life was tough, but they made an honest living. Periodically, storms would rage through Ala Bay. The islanders protected Abbott against the war. Blah, 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 blah. I shouldn't be trying to read games when I'm exhausted. Anyway. The islanders protected Abbott against the water by erecting long barriers built out of wooden poles. But during storms, the barriers suffered, and the islander would have to rely on donations from the mainland to restore them. In 1858, a highly turbulent year weather-wise, the Elizabeth flood swept over the Low Countries, leaving a wake of annihilation behind. Part of Abbott's fishing fleet was destroyed, most of the barrier washed away. Not much later, the government announced the full evacuation of the island. The inhabitants were to be rehoused on the mainland. They said it was due to the increasing threat of storms and the infeasible costs of restoring the wooden barrier. However, some suspect that persistent poverty and inbreeding on Abbott played an equally important role in the decision to evacuate. She smiled a mischievous smile. So, in the end, the island was left deserted? Not really. A group of 200 islanders stayed behind, all hardline members of a small reformatory congregation. The Church of Abbott had recently been ejected from the mainstream branch of Low Country Protestantism. These were troubled times, theologically speaking, and church schisms were a common occurrence. Anyway, the seceded congregation vowed to remain on the island, and the government did nothing to stop them. For close to a century, they lived isolated lives, with very little contact with the outside world. Until reclamation of the marsh polder began. In the 1940s, Abbott suddenly found itself floating on a sea of fertile soil. Farmers from the mainland migrated here to cultivate the fields. But the original inhabitants of Abbotsford, descendants of the islanders who had seceded in 1858, observed the influx of newcomers with sorrow in their eyes. There has always been tension between the two groups. The farmers work hard, but they're blind to our heritage. A grave expression appeared on her face. The islanders are honest people. They'd never cover up a crime. By the time we'd made it up the stairs, classes had already started. She turned to me. Do you know what's interesting? After the Elizabeth flood, Abbott was never struck by a storm again. So the entire evacuation had been for nothing? You could say so. Why does it keep zooming in on her crotch? This is insane. Why are there so many crotch shots? Are they supposed to be crotch shots? I need to ask this dev on Sunday if these are supposed to be crotch shots. There's so many. And it's just her. Why does it keep focusing on Rika's crotch? It's really hard to read it with like the low, serious voice when I'm staring at her crotch. Oh my god. Some of the more self-righteous members of our congregation speculate that the floods were punishment by a higher power. That there was no more need for them, after all subversive elements had been extracted from the community. The kingdom of heaven is like a net cast into the sea that gathered fish of every kind. When it was full, the fishermen hauled it ashore. Then they sat down and gathered the good fish into vessels, but cast the bad away. Anyway, I have to go to class now. I absolutely love talking to you. Also, I was wondering. She paused for a second, tenderly winding her hair down around her finger. Would you mind going out to dinner this Saturday evening? My parents are attending a wedding, and I'd hate to eat alone. I could detect a hint of anxiety in her voice. Will you join me? This town has restaurants? Pretty sure that's supposed to say Rika. I know a good one. It's run by people from our church. I was struck by the candor of her sudden proposal. So struck that I had no choice but to accept, even though I realized I was playing directly into Ina's plans. Then it's a date. See you next Saturday. Oh god, I don't even know what that voice was. With a nod of her head, she said goodbye. Ina pulled me aside the moment classes ended. She seemed nervous. So? I shook my head in ignorance. What did you manage to get out of Rika? She complimented you on your journalism. Yeah, she would, wouldn't she? Just tell me what you guys discussed. Though I still had vivid recollections of Rika's coiling hair, I had to admit the details of our conversation this morning had long since faded into the back of my mind. We talked about the town for a bit. And? I thought for a second. She said the Isle of Abbott was evacuated in the 19th century due to inbreeding. Does that make sense to you? Sure. They were ravaged by storms at the time. Only a small community remained, including the Cooper family. Well, then I don't think she told me anything of interest. I should be the judge of that. An awkward silence lingered. The newsroom was a mess. Every inch of floor space was filled up with boxes, newspaper clippings, scattered clothing.
So, Ina, I was wondering,
What?
when will you introduce me to the other editors on the staff?
She flinched. It's not a school paper.
I never said it was.
We have got other editors, but they mostly work from home. It's not like I write everything myself.
It appeared that I hit a nerve, and I began to regret my line of questioning. I dug through my memory for something that would cheer her up. You know what? There was something strange Rika told me this morning.
What?
No, it's doing it again. That was weird. Something about a church schism just before the island was evacuated. She was a little vague on the matter.
As expected, Ina appeared unnaturally interested. A schism, you say? In the Church of Abbott?
Rika said it was the reason some of the islanders stayed behind.
Ina had begun browsing her phone, while a soft murmur trickled from her lips. A church schism? That seems highly unlikely. If only... There! I found something. It's called Theological Inquiries into the Congregation of the Church of Abbott.
Is it relevant? Some more typing.
I'm not sure. It could be. Inquiries were a big deal in the Reformed Church at the time. They could point towards corruption or severe theological divergencies. The thing is, the Church of Abbott and the Cooper family have always held a pivotal position of power in this town. Her eyes were glowing. Any dirt on them, old or new, will surely cause a stir. Much more than any aberrant migration pattern of insects ever will. She turned her attention back to her phone. There it is! They have a copy in the Municipal Archive of Bremersburg. That's less than 20 minutes away by train. We'll go there on Friday.
On Friday? Don't we have school on Friday?
Oh, but this is much more important than school. And besides, we get a lot of time off for mandatory club activities. As we headed downstairs, I noticed she was trembling with excitement. Let's head over to my house for now. I want to run some ideas by you.
I wasn't in the mood to protest.
Chips. Her house had a well-kept, almost sterile appearance to it. As she led me into the living room, I noted a hint of sadness in her eyes. After prying, she told me her mother was touring at the moment. She was a famous conductor, Mina Mengelberg, currently serving as the musical director of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. I mentioned I had seen her name on a playbill once, when I still lived in the city. So this is my room. I hate it, though. Empty houses give me the creeps. That's why I'm usually at the office. She produced a large book from her bag, the same one I had seen her reading at school. I'm reading Oswald Spengler at the moment. Untergang des Abend... Oh, God. I can't... A foreign language with a bad accent is just a nightmare. Untergang des Abendlandes. Untergang des Abendlandes. This is good. I haven't made it past the second chapter. She folded it open to a page that she'd marked with a slip of paper. A boundless mass of human being, floating in a stream without banks, upstream, a dark past wherein our time sense loses all powers of definition, and restless or uneasy fancy conjures up geological periods to hide away an eternally insolvable riddle. Sorry guys, the webcam's like right in the way of that. Downstream, a future even so dark and timeless. Such is the groundwork of the Faustian picture of human society. There's Faust? Faustian? Faustian. She closed the book and handed it to me. Modern man's yearning for infinite progress is Faustian in nature. Spurred by his endless aspirations, humanity involuntarily seals its own fate. We have left the natural state far behind. We couldn't return even if we wanted to. Being has been altered irredeemably. I'm sorry I dragged you down here. I know you're not really interested in this newspaper business. Oh, I just spit. It's just... I talk in myself if I don't have someone else to talk to, whenever I'm catching on to something great. It drives me insane. I gave her a reassuring nudge. I guess you know my predicament. Hey. She smiled. You know, I have a feeling this church piece is going to be big. Bigger than anything we've done before. Bigger than the Sanford House affair. What's that Sanford House affair you keep talking about? It was out before I realized what I was doing. Didn't I tell you? Our expose on the Sanford House affair was our finest hour. The scoop that truly put the Sunday Abbot on the map. It was around this time last year when the Evening Mirror, a smutty tabloid, published a series of compromising photographs of an influential Abbotsford politician. The photos were taken inside a notorious Bremersburg cabaret club, where he was being courted by an, dancing girl. The politician in question is named Leopold. Leopold Marquis of Abbot, to be precise. A member of the nobility. He still holds a seat in the Abbotsford City Council. Leopold hails from the old lineage of lords in the Isle. He has quite a reputation as a party animal, and for that reason, the incident initially blew over without much ado. But 4 months later, we received an anonymous package at the office. It was another set of photographs, placing Marquis Leopold at a lavish party inside Sanford House, one of the oldest mansions in Abbotsford. There were more girls present during this occasion, and the Marquis appeared to be fully inebriated. In a note, the anonymous source explained that Marquis Leopold had been carrying classified documents with him on the night he attended Sanford House. But after the hedonistic party, the source wrote, his briefcase and the documents it contained were nowhere to be found. We ran an absolute bombshell of an article. Apparently, the Marquis had indeed lost classified policy papers on that fateful night. And to make matters worse, he hadn't notified the council of their disappearance. It became a lot harder to forgive the Marquis's decadent escapades when the political integrity of the community was at jeopardy. The Cooper faction initiated a charge, declaring that the Marquis's conduct was unworthy of a Christian political party. They had a field day with the whole affair. So, did Leopold lose his seat over this? He didn't. He's an elected official, after all, and is therefore protected by the Constitution. However, his position with an heir has become precarious since the affair. I doubt he'll return after the elections.
I need like a better snack to be eating during these. The ice cream was okay, but like time consuming. And these are just like getting in the way of reading. Ideas. She stopped abruptly, looking down, then up at me again. I'm probably boring you. It's okay. You should be on your way home. I'm going to read some more Spengler before bed. I spent most of Thursday afternoon loitering around town, trying to find something or someone to write my weekly progress article on. Sadly, as I searched in vain, it began to dawn on me why Ina had unloaded this piece on me. Abbotsford really didn't have any progress to report. Then, a flash in the corner of my eye.
No! Move away! Hellhound! I'm not even working today!
Uh-oh. Hang on.
I need to speak to your manager.
I don't know. That's not it.
Let me speak to your manager. Let me speak to your manager.
I don't know. It's hard to do this one.
Ferris! Leave the man alone!
As soon as Miss Voorhees entered the scene, the dog became as docile as a lamb. Hi, Karen. Thanks for coming to my rescue again.
I feel like he's warming up to you. He didn't even bite you this time. So what brings you here today?
Ina's making me write an article. It can be about any person or event in town. The thing is, it's due today.
You wouldn't be referring to the weekly progress, would you? That's a local favorite. Ina must have a lot of faith in you to entrust you as such an important piece of journalism.
I could tell she was concealing an impish smile.
Anyway, if you want, you can interview me. It may help my re-election if I get some positive press out.
Maybe you could write the whole thing for me. She burst out laughing. What's that, like, Karen anime laugh?
Come on, let's go someplace where we can talk.
She let out a long sigh.
Small town politics can be a headache. That piece you guys published last week, to be fair, it caused quite a bit of commotion.
She adopted a more serious demeanor.
Let me state first and foremost that our party has always been a proponent of the free exchange of labor. Abbotsford has some of the largest farms in the region, so come August, there's always a huge demand for seasonal workers.
What party are you in?
Abbott Island Reformed. We're currently in charge. Laborers come here from all over the Low Countries, many even from farther afield. The work offers them an escape from poverty. It's in our greatest interest that they be treated well. The thing is, not everybody is as welcoming towards outsiders. Over the last decades, a new political movement has been growing in membership. Flock 05, they're called. They were founded in 2005. Flock 05 takes a more cautious stance on labor migration. They claim that seasonal workers constitute an unnecessary burden on our local infrastructure. There was a small incident, not long after their party was founded, in which a group of farm workers had been caught stealing food from local stores. It was just petty theft, but Flock really went to town with it, converting the incident into a large electoral windfall.
Do you think people from Flock 05 are behind the murder?
No, and I don't want you writing that. It's just that the subject matter is more complicated than it seems. AIR has always protected the rights of all farm workers, but the general attitude has been shifting lately. What about the Cooper faction? The Cooper... what? The Cooper faction within your party. Do they share your stance on labor migration? I'm afraid you're misinformed. AIR is one party. We don't have factions. She began speaking in a hushed voice. Look, I understand you guys feel involved. I'll tell you more, but you'll have to consider it off the record. I smiled. No problem. I have more than enough material as is. This is a very painful incident for our mayor. The farm murder occurred on property that belonged to his brother. I nodded. Now, several voices are implying that the police investigation into the abuse was intentionally halted by Mayor Van Linden and the chief of police. But I know the mayor. He wouldn't do such a thing. After the assault, the victims' co-workers returned to their hometowns. They weren't available for further questioning. The police closed the case because they really didn't have any more leads. And the mayor's brother? What kind of person is he? I'm not sure. She paused. He works his people hard. A little too hard at times. But he's not a sadist. He wouldn't do that to anyone. Anyway, I really need to get back to work. If you guys want, you're welcome to come over to my place for coffee sometime. I can imagine Ina would love to have a source inside the council. My, you've been streaming for this long time is all messed up. Because OBS sucks. It's really bugging me. Oops. It's stuck at an hour 15. It's definitely been longer than that. I think it's been 2 hours. I do need to get work done, so I don't know. We might do 3 hours of the game. Sound good to the lurkers? To y'all lurkers out there? On Friday, we snuck out of school during lunch break. Outside of commuting hours, the train to Bremersburg only ran sporadically. We had to rush to make it in time. I love your article. She appeared reluctant to admit it, like a child enjoying broccoli. It had its flaws, of course. It's just, I'd never thought about using the weekly progress section that way. For actual journalism. I just happened to bump into Karen in the street. We shot past miles and miles of farmland. Ina had begun murmuring in herself. I haven't seen any bees this year. There were a few last year, but none this summer. It's just crickets now. You know, they kept me up last night. The crickets in their maddening song, like 1,000 voices crying out in terror. As if they can sense their impending death once winter comes. If winter ever comes. Jesus, Ina. God. I shrugged. To that completely unhinged rant that came out of nowhere, I shrugged. I spoke to the archivist on the phone. He confirmed that the publication should be there. It's part of a larger collection of church inquiries that were commissioned by the Presbytery of the Low Countries after the succession of 1834. The Reformed Church has always been prone to schisms. In 1834, however, 3 congregations succeeded at once, out of dissatisfaction with liberal tendencies with Reformed theology at the time. During the subsequent decades, many more churches followed in their wake, to the point where the remaining pastors felt the time had come to take action. The Reformed Church isn't a centrally coordinated institution. Due to the particular state of affairs, however, the remaining pastors agreed to converge in what was named the Presbytery of the Low Countries. The Presbytery resolved to root out churches that appeared to stray from mainstream Protestant theology. By proactively excluding troublesome congregations, the church hoped to end the broader trend of insurgency once and for all. The document we'll be consulting is a church inquiry commissioned by this very presbytery. It pertains to the congregation on Abbot Island, led by the Reverend Joanne Cooper. It would eventually lead to the expulsion from the Reformed Church. This all took place in 1857, not long before the evacuation of the island. See, I just called that Joanne, but it's Johann. Johann is Johann Cooper. Yes, her great-great-great-great-grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. We made our way towards the archives. The city was noisy, as usual. So this is Bremmersburg. I assume it's the first time you've been here. It was built shortly after the war, carefully planned to function as the metropolitan hub of the newly reclaimed land. How can something that's been thought out so meticulously grow into such an abomination? In the past, cities arose out of the countryside, nourished lovingly by their surrounding communities. But now the giant city sucks the country dry, insatiably and incessantly demanding and devouring fresh streams of men, till it wearies and dies in the midst of an almost uninhabited wasteland. Bremmersburg has become a dismal necropolis, wrapped in the sounds of countless invisible cars, all attempting to find their way in its inorganic street plan. It appears completely amorphous to me, like a welded-together amalgamation of leftover parts of other cities, lacking any differentiating feature. Such a critic. The municipal archives were curated by the University of Bremmersburg. We made our way through a few galleries of natural history exhibits until we reached the library. I will say, for the visual novel, this thing has, like, a shit ton of backgrounds. Like, honestly, for J's, I think... Hang on, I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's like 10 or 11 planned. I'm sure that'll change, but like this game has had like a million of them already. Bloop. Without as much as looking around, Ina went up to the archivist and asked him for the document she was looking for. He eyed her up with a bemused glance in his eyes. So you're the students that made a reservation for the theological inquiries? Sure. Is that a problem? He chuckled. Oh, not at all. It's just that we don't get many requests for these dusty church journals. He left briefly to dig up an old book. Here it is. It isn't available for loan, so you'll have to consult it at one of our reading tables. We sat down. From the moment Ina opened the heavy, leather-clad book, a musty fragrance poured forth from its yellow pages. In a hushed voice, she began to read. Journal of the Reverend Thomas W. H. Backer, Inquirer for the Presbytery of the Low Countries. Saturday, 19th of September, 1856. We set sail in the early morning to favorable winds and quiet waters. Aboard were the captain, Jan H. M. Bourne, and his 2 crew members, a traveling merchant, some islanders, and the gentleman Marcus P. Brashard, who would be serving the island as a replacement schoolteacher.
You're excused to read silently if you like.
Humph! Let me skip ahead a bit. With the good south wind behind us, it took less than half an hour to catch the first sight of the isle in the distance. But as we approached Abbott, we struck harsh and impetuous waves, and whitecaps formed around us. Within a matter of minutes, the formerly peaceful sea had erupted into a fierce tempest, rocking our ship to and fro. Though we as passengers were distraught by the sudden onset of the storm, our captain reassured us that sudden gales were not uncommon in the Strait of Allah Bay. But as I lay cooped up in the ship's stern, I prayed fervorously for our safe voyage. There appeared to be no end to the tempest. As I had a clear view of the firmament from my hiding place, I began to notice that the storm was imbued with a strange quality of sorts. For although the sea was in an unruly turmoil, erupting in waves and eddies of violent fervor, the sky above remained blue and completely devoid of wind. It was as though not a gale, but a submarine vortex was kicking up these thrashing waves. And when I gathered the courage to look overboard, I fancied at times that I could see a thin black ripple coiling through the waves, glistening whenever it broke the surface in the ever-dazzling sun.
Oh god, it's Cthulhu!
Cthulhu! It took us the greater part of an hour to reach the harbor, and when the ship finally moored, the tempest abruptly came to a halt. In a matter of minutes, the waves disappeared, and the sea returned to its original calm, as though no storm had ever laid hands upon it. Scores of islanders had spilled from their houses to congregate around the pier. Immediately I could discern the tall figure of Reverend Cooper, with his chalky white hair that appeared to glow against the back of his cassock, standing with outstretched arms as if to consecrate the weather-beaten ship. She read silently for a while. Thomas stayed at the manse, where the Cooper family provided him with food and dry clothing after his dire journey. He describes Reverend Cooper as a dignified gentleman, and he makes special note of Johann's daughter, Hendrika, a charming, though secretive young woman with flowing black hair. Then it skips over to Sunday morning, when Thomas will attend his first service on the island. I attended Sunday service next morning. Observance proceeded in great solemnity. The commemoration of 2 fishermen who were lost to the sea last week. The sermon contained many nautical themes, alluding to both the calling of the fishers and the beast Leviathan. However, I believe this to be nothing out of the ordinary for seafaring communities. On Monday morning, the 2 men conversed together, delving deep into Cooper's religious teachings. Let me skim through this part quickly. After what felt like a century, Ina looked up at me and began reciting. What I have come to learn is worrisome. I can only conclude that Cooper's theology is, in its essence, lacks the eschatological underpinnings of our shared faith, substituting these core tenets with a view on historical redemption that is cyclical in nature. For Cooper, the New Testament culminates seamlessly into the book of Job, leading all of biblical history. including the Synoptic Gospels and the New Covenant, to recur again and again in infinitum. Based on our conversation, I'm inclined to agree with the complaint that the creed that is proclaimed on this island is fundamentally alien to the doctrinal axioms as set forth in the canons of Dort and the Heidelberg, Catechism. Stupid camera. I'm even inclined to doubt Cooper's worldview is fully Trinitarian. After luncheon, I recused myself for an afternoon walk in order to meditate on our conversation. As I made my way across the perimeter of the aisle, looking out onto a glittering, endless sea, I couldn't help but notice that I was being trailed by a dark figure. I turned around just in time to catch a glimpse of Hendrika leaping behind one of the gargantuan stones that lied scattered across the aisle. I called out, asking if she would care to join me, but she let out a shrill laugh and ran away, with her black hair trailing behind her. Ina pulled a concerned face. That's strange. There isn't much more to the report. He skips over a few days and then recounts the last meeting the two men had on Friday evening. I am now confident to write that the Reverend Cooper and I have reached a mutual degree of understanding. Cooper has further clarified his theological positions to me, and I am fully confident now that his doctrines are wholly in accordance with the three forms of unity, in no way contradicting our shared Reformed confession. I believe Cooper is a fine man who operates as a good shepherd for his congregation. Our prior misunderstandings appear to have derived from my own ignorance of local culture and customs, not from my fundamental unorthodoxy within the religious teachings of the Church of Abbot itself. In conclusion, I therefore recommend that no punitive or expulsory action is taken against the Reverend Cooper or his congregation. She put down the book. That's strange. Did you notice anything? Sounds pretty tame if they got in trouble for this. Oh, that's gone. That's gone. That is out the window gone. Holy shit. Sounds pretty strange. Or tame. Sounds pretty tame if they got in trouble for this. It does, doesn't it? And the sudden change of tone at the end. I don't understand. The sources state that the Reformed Church of Abbot was ejected based on this report. However, the conclusion doesn't point in that direction at all. I have no idea why this would be cause for Abbot to be cast out of the presbytery. This trip appears to have been a waste of time. Let's head back to the station. Lethargically, Ina went to return the book. We were on our way to the exit when a figure approached us. I was doing like a really crappy, whispery British accent for this. Hey, it's cool if you guys have taken an interest in those old pieces of ecclesiastical bookkeeping. As I said, they haven't been requested in decades. You must be history buffs, right? Ina eyed him up and down suspiciously. We're conducting investigative journalism into the Church of Abbot. Abbot? He went silent for a while, as though trying to remember something. I guess the report on them is pretty boring. You wouldn't say. She pulled me by the sleeve, signaling that we should leave. I remember there was more to the story, though. There should be an addendum somewhere, some notes that were left out of the public report. With this, he appeared to have caught Ina's attention. They're pretty rare, though. I believe only 2 copies were ever printed. And where may we find these copies? Good question. He headed back to his desk, where he spent some time browsing the catalog. One is in the private library of the Council of Reformed Churches. You could try to petition them, however.
And the other?
The other was sent to the Isle of Abbot in 1857. The town had the right to know why the church was being ejected from the presbytery. If it hasn't been pruned from the collection, it should still be in the town archives.
Well, that's all we needed to know, dear man. You could have saved us a lot of time by telling us this up front. And with these words, she was out the door. I thanked him briefly before running after her. On our way back to the station, we passed a small, indistinct-looking theater. Ina nudged me. Look, this is the nightclub I told you about. The one where the marquee was spotted. It looks as grimy as ever. We were just in time to catch the 6 o'clock train. Throughout our return voyage, I could hear Ina mumbling to herself in excitement. I think that's a good place to end it. Pew pew. As long as we save it. Pew pew. Pew pew. Seems like a good place to be ending it for today. Yes? Correct? Because I still have a lot of work to do. And I already forget. There we go. So yeah. This weekend, guys, is our launch, kind of. Not really. We've done it before, but it's more organized now. This weekend is our dev stream weekend, people. So we're starting that off tomorrow, Saturday, May 25th, 8 p.m. MST, which is 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, 2 a.m. CET for those curious. And we'll be playing Attack on Hex Island again. We have not played it on our stream since they've updated, so it'll be very, very entertaining to see all the new things that they've implemented. We're very much looking forward to that. Happy, happy, happy. Drums 107 will be here. And Prodigal also said that they would try to be here. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, they will be here in chat. You can leave it directly with them. Or you can comment on their videos later. Today we were playing Deluge, Threnody of Crashing Waves. Sunday we will be playing Deluge, Sermon for the Dead. This is another entry in the Deluge series. It's like a new, obviously, entry in the Deluge series. And the developer, who has yet to tell us what name they want to go by on our Twitch stream, Leaves Circle, Soka, Heart and Milk. They have so many names right now. They will be here while we play their sequel to this visual novel. I think the basic idea is like creepy, atmospheric type themes attached to a visual novel dating sim. So that's what we will be doing. They said that they would be here from 1 to 3 our time. I don't know if we're gonna stop at 3 or if we'll keep going for a bit. But so if you want to ask questions, give comments directly to the dev, etc., be here between 1 and 3 MST on Sunday. Also on Sundays at 8 p.m. MST is going to be the Construction Snake demo version 2.0. Curtis Mutter will be here in person. He's going to be here all weekend, really, so I'm probably going to make him do things for me because I'm so tired about all the work that we put into everything else this week. I'm so freaking exhausted. So, you know, we'll get Curtis to do like voices and stuff for us on Sunday. But he will be here as well, and that's the community fan game Construction Snake at 8 p.m. MST on Sunday. In the meantime, you can watch all of our old videos. We now have an old video for all 3 games. So you can head over to our YouTube, watch those, like, follow, subscribe, share. On all of our socials, really. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Add us, people. Put us on your list. It is at J McKenna Stories for all of those. That's at JMCKENNASTORIES. And finally, if you are a game developer, if you are working on your own indie game, I mean, even if it's not an indie game, if it's more mainstream than an indie game. Anyway, if you are a game developer and you have a game that you want public feedback on, feedback from other devs on, please, 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 we would love to play your game. We're doing this weekend, the last weekend of every single month. Get in contact with us, pick your time slot. We'll work with you to do whatever you want to do to get your game out there, to get some feedback, to play around with it. And if you watch our old streams and then again you watch this weekend, I think you'll see that like we have been finding a lot of areas for improvement, suggestions, comments, concerns that have been addressed in these updates. So I mean, it's a great like partnership, guys. We love playing your games early on, and we love being able to like give suggestions on how to improve it and then seeing that improvement get implemented. We love it. So if you have a game that you want us to play on the last weekend of the month, you can DM us on any of our socials, or you can email us at j.mckenna.stories@gmail.com, and we'll respond to all of them. So please, 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 if you have something for us to play, let us know. We'd be super excited to do that. So yeah, that's all for today. I have to go get stuff done that was supposed to be done earlier this week that got put on hold for OBS. So I have a considerately full day of work ahead of me still. But I think I'm gonna take a nap first. I'm kind of tired. No sleep will do that to you. So I'm gonna go take a nap. Thank you guys for stopping in, and we hope to see you tomorrow for our developer weekend. Have a great day, guys. Bye.